fishing, and then there's musky fishing. Our fish management's Elmer Hyob gives us the ins and outs of Ohio's husky muskie.
This is a story about a fish, but not just any fish. It's a creature residing in Ohio's waters today that only a select few anglers dare even to bring to the surface. In the 1840s, early biologists called this, the muskie, the king of the fish in the then western waters. Back then, Ohio's waterways, the tributaries of Lake Erie and the Ohio River, were unobstructed by dams, and during the spring, muskie would crowd upstream to the riffles to spawn. But times and habitats have changed. Muskies prefer clear water, sandy bottoms, and vegetation. But stream modification in the 50s, 60s, and 70s began to change all that.
Essentially, it's a habitat thing, and it's a reproduction thing from the habitat standpoint. Our habitat requirements for spawning are so specific relative to the kinds of areas they use, and most of those areas today are gone.
Ohio is actually home to two strains of muskie, the Ohio muskellunge and the Great Lakes muskellunge. The Great Lakes muskie is ID'd by spots that completely cover their sides, while the Ohio muskie's spots generally cover the last third of the tail region. It's thought that muskie migration and the separation by water structures have created these two separate strains. Flood control dams prevented muskie from getting to their favorite spawning areas upstream in the riffles. So in the 80s, with the reproductive picture looking bleak for Ohio's trophy fish, the Ohio Division of Wildlife began a stocking program. Muskie stocking in Ohio means more than just finding some muskies somewhere and bringing them into the state. Clear Fork Reservoir near Mansfield is where it all begins. Annually, these Clear Fork brooder muskies are trapped, weighed, and measured.
86.
Scale samples are taken by biologists, which will give insights on age and growth rates. These biologist samples are supplemented by scales taken by sportsmen participating in the management program. Clear Fork's muskie also sport a metal tag to keep tabs on the fish through the years. Finally, the most important part. Because Ohio's muskie are limited by habitat or places to reproduce, fish biologists lend a helping hand. Eggs and sperm are taken, and fertilization takes place immediately in a small porcelain bowl. The eggs are stirred with a feather to prevent clumping, then transported to Division of Wildlife fish hatcheries where they'll hatch and be raised to fingerling size. And by next year, they're stocked into Ohio's 8 inland muskie program lakes to provide a fishery that might just be Ohio's best-kept secret until now.
We're slamming at the bait.
They almost have individual personalities. I mean, it's not that way, but they're a top-of-the-line predator, and each one can act as kind of a little different.
Get that?
Yes.
Let him go.
The one that got away.
When you're casting for them, they have some unique, they almost have an attitude about them when they come to the boat because they'll do so many different things. Sometimes when they're not real aggressive, they'll follow behind the lure kind of low and deep, and they'll kind of turn off at the boat. And other times they'll swim up behind your lure and so close that, like if you have feathers or a twister tail on the end of the bait, you can see it. It's actually hitting them on the end of the nose. They're following it that close. And what people do then, and this is kind of unique to muskie fishing, is they do what we call figure eight. Is you can bring that lure in, you keep it moving at the boat, and you start swimming it in big loops at the boat. You don't try and change the speed of the bait, and you don't make sharp angles. And those fish, when they're active, aggressive, they'll keep following that lure. And if you get it going fast enough and keep going, they'll actually swim behind it and snap their jaws and flare their gills. Eventually, they'll just grab the bait. Sometimes they do it immediately as they get to the boat. Other times they'll follow that. I've had fish follow so long at the boat in a figure eight, my arms started cramping. I couldn't keep doing it anymore. And they'll do it as long as you want to do it.
Get him. Oh, you missed a 5-foot jump there. Yeah, big jump.
And then other times they'll do wild things like you won't even see them. You're done with your cast, your figure eight, you bring your lure up, and all of a sudden these fish come rocking out of the lake and grab your bait 3 feet off the water. And I always tease people, that's why they put those triggers on musky rods, so you got one finger wrapped around that trigger, otherwise you'll lose your rods.
Hurry up.
I mean, don't grab that thing, go ripping through the air.
Let me
And
get it
if
back
you weren't
down.
expecting it, and you got your, your reel engaged, usually something breaks.
Ohio's Husky Musky, certainly an Ohio fish management success story, and not a fish for the timid.
Okay, tilt him down a
End
little
of
bit.
story. This is Wild Ohio.
If you're considering musky fishing, it might be good to hook up with a guy like Elmer. Check your local chapter of Ohio's Husky Musky Club.